Am I the right distance away from the ball? Is my grip okay? Have I got enough shaft lean? Is the width of my stance okay? These are all questions I hear so often in lessons, and today we're going to debunk those. So why is setup so important? It basically gives us the foundations to move well in a golf swing. If things in our setup aren't quite correct, it gives our body the ability to move differently, which can cause some bad shots. So if we set up with a nice athletic posture in a position where we're ready to move well and quick, then it gives us the ability to swing it a lot better. I get asked all the time about stance width, and my answer is always we want what we call an A frame. When we take our setup, we want our hip bone to be on the inside of each foot. So the ball bone of the hip is on the inside of both feet. If we get that, we get the right amount of ability to stabilize the shift and rotation at the same time. If you go very, very narrow, you have a lot of ability to rotate, but you can't stabilize a shift either way. If you go too wide, I can really limit rotation, but I give the ability to shift and stabilize very, very easily. So it's about getting the right blend of both to create stabilization when pressure shifting, but still getting the amount of rotation that we're looking for. So we always go for the A-frame approach. So we're creating this A shape with our legs, a capital A shape with our leg. Next one of the most common ones I get is about ball position. And ball position is actually very important because it can control the low point, it can also control the swing direction of the club. Now, we look for something in the golf swing called the impact line. So at impact, or just post impact, somewhere here, we're looking for the hip, the shoulder, the hands, and the club all to be in one straight line just after impact. Now you see there, that's probably about 4 inches ahead of the golf ball, if it's in the middle of our stance, say. Now with driver, we're still looking for the same line, but we're looking for that then to happen in line with the ball. Now, instead of using your stance, your feet, as the indicator for where your ball position is going to be, it needs to be your lead shoulder. Your lead shoulder is the low point controller. Okay, so you think at setup is probably, when the ball is in the middle of my stance, 3-4 inches ahead of the ball. Now with driver then being back here, it's now in line with the ball. So your lead shoulder for right hand of your left shoulder is going to be the indicator of this. Now, so what I'll do for that is I'll put down a couple of alignment sticks. I've got shafts here, but I'll put down a couple of alignment sticks. Now what I'll go and do is take a setup where that is then roughly around about where my lead shoulder is sitting. So it's normally about inside your heel anyway, but lead shoulder. Good. And now I've got a 8-iron here, so that's generally in the middle of your stance unless you're trying to shape it at all. So 3 golf balls, because golf balls are pretty much 1 point something inches, so that will create 3.8 to 4 inches of length. So I'm going to pop 3 golf balls in a line there, and then I'm going to pop this other shaft there. Now you don't really, to be honest, need the other shaft, but it's just an indicator of where that ball position goes. But you can see lead shoulder, 3 balls back is then where that golf ball is. So I've got my A frame, I've got my ball position in the right place there. I'm getting closer and closer to this really strong setup. So now that we've got those 2 pieces of the puzzle, the last one I want to talk about is how our body position is at address. So we need to find this athletic posture where our body is ready to move. we've got this stable base now with our feet being that A-frame apart, but now what's our body doing in terms of its positioning to be able to swing well? Now we know that obviously we want to stay on some form of tilt when we're in the golf swing. So we have to create tilt at setup to continue that tilt. If you think about this, if I go into what we see quite commonly is this sat down position, actually have I created any tilt from the hips? Definitely not. If I were to push the knees back from that sat down position and feel like my head goes towards the ball, I've created a little bit more of that tilted position. Now, to know that you don't take it too far, this is where the indicator comes into it. We use the armpits as the reference, so the armpits are the reference. Now, what we want to see is the front of the knees in line with the armpits, and then the balance point is then over the start of the laces, somewhere more here, the balls of our feet. So you should have one straight line going down from the armpit, front of the kneecaps, and then over the start of the laces. That means our balance is on the balls of our feet. We're ready to move and shift well throughout the golf swing. That keeps some really nice balance. If our armpits are quite far back, we're going to be in this sat down position here, and I'm more likely to really limit my hip turn because it's much harder to turn when we're sat down in this position. And I'm probably then going to limit the hip turn, try and get some real chest turn, and then you'll see that move that people stand up where they're like this a lot more, and that's obviously going to cause some swinging over the top, some slicey moves. So we have to make sure that setup is really, really nice. A little drill I do just to make sure people are the right distance away from the ball and in an athletic position is just to drop the club to start off with, and all you're going to do is take that A-frame stance. Now, hands across the chest, and all I want you to do is start tapping the feet. So you're going to just start tapping the feet on the ground, and you're going to feel if I were to sit back there, I haven't got the balance. I'm going to be moving backwards. And if I was too on the toes there, I'm going to be always falling forward. So by tapping the feet, you get yourself in that athletic position that we're looking for at setup. Now, all we do from there is keep tapping the feet, but dangle the arms. Now you can see the arms are very naturally in this position. That is where we look to be at setup. So let's try that now with a club in our hands. So I'm just going to get myself in a relatively normal setup there. I've got my A-frame. Right, I'm just going to start tapping my legs. I'm going to make sure that I've got that balance and control in the frame that I've got. I'm then going to pop the club down. See, my arms are relaxing into this position, so there's my setup position. I'm then going to just shift a little bit of weight forward, so I'm getting that low point control. That gets my handle a little bit forward, so I get some nice shaft lean, and then I'm just going to pull the trigger from there. I think we'd take that golf shot all day. In fact, I've absolutely bombed it. Not bad at all. You see how crisp the strike was. 161 yards from an 8 iron isn't too bad. 116 mile an hour ball speed is pretty good. Give those few little adjustments a go. I'm sure you'll strike it way better. It will help you move the body in a much different way, and that will create some better strikes and some better ball flights. Hope you enjoyed that video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and we'll see you next week for some more top tips.